So we own a school community of about 2,500 people, right? And the main mission of our community, we call the AI Avengers, is to help people get certified through Claude. And we've also helped thousands of builders from around the world, use Claude in their system, real agents that are actually running production, right? We call it the lab because we like to get our hands dirty. We like to go out there and build stuff, learn stuff. The moment a new technology or a new trend is being brought into the public, I know you've heard of loop engineering, graph engineering, context, anything. We bring it out into the lab and we get our hands dirty. When AI just became a thing, I think early 2022, when people was what AI started working around, the word they used to fly around was, do you use AI? Do you use AI? Have you heard of ChatGPT? But right now, the term AI has been so productized and it's so rampant that people don't ask that question anymore. People now ask, can you prove that you can build with AI? What's the proof that you can build with AI? What's your experience with AI? Whether it's in your career, whether it's in your business, everyone's going to ask that question. Can you prove it? It's no longer, do you use it? Everyone uses AI. Anyone and their grandma that's asking questions for how to send birthday messages, they all use AI. Or can you build with it? Right? So that's the whole point. Two things have changed now because of that question. Not actually really. And that certification has now become the credential, right? It's actually an official certification issued by Anthropic. They have their own credit badge. And also you can actually write through Pearson's, like every other official exam, like Microsoft, Amazon, all the other certification. So thousands around the world are already doing it. Right? We have over 20,000 people already certified, with about 50,000 to be certified through September and October. So we registered to be part of the Anthropic Cloud Partner Network, and we joined them last month, giving us the ability to help people like you and I that actually want to write this certification, but have stripped down because there is no partner to register with, right? So Manoj, myself, Ravi, we are actually in the same room with Anthropic, in the same partner group with Anthropic, getting updates from them on the day-to-day. So right now, we're trying to extend that access to, we're trying to give you the same access that we have so that you can also be able to get certified, right? And the main reason why people are after this certification is because proof beats claim, right? So anyone can say they use AI, but the certification is the thing that you're actually going to put in front of a client if you want to establish some sort of authority, or in front of a hiring manager if you're trying to get hired for the role. And that becomes the standard. It's slowly becoming the standard. The term FDE, forward deployed engineer, has always been a description, but it never got the title that it has today until like all these AI firms started bringing it up. I'm sure you pay attention to my LinkedIn, speaking a lot about how this has become the next buzzword, right? So if you want to actually stand out of everyone, you actually need a certification. You actually need a requirement. But like we said, like Manoj said, it's not really about the certification. If you've been following us for a while, you know that we are always hands on. We're always trying to ensure that we are building. We're not even trying to look for a way to prove it. The system itself is the proof, right? But at the same time, this credential is something that's actually going to put you, it's going to put everything you're doing to the test, right? Even if you're a builder, this is actually something that's going to sit you down and say, hey, you think you know, or you don't know as much as you think you know, right? And I've actually taken that hit as well. That's why I want to encourage every one of us to actually take this as seriously as we can. Secondly, there's a partnership, right? The partnership is that we get to be members of the Anthropic Cloud Partner Network, and you're not learning from someone that's reselling the course. You're learning from people like us that actually run real system in production, right? In enterprise, all the way to small to medium businesses, right? So you're going to learn it the way it's meant to be taught. You're not going to learn it like you're just going to get a course and gone into the wind. You're actually going to learn from us. You're actually going to have access to us, right? So you're going to have Friday builds with me. Then Ravi's handling most of the accountability calls on Mondays, where he walks through everything he has done and gives us the chance to also ask some questions, get some clarity, just to be accountable, right? And then Manoj is always going to be there to onboard, walk everyone through the various systems that they need. So that's a little bit about us. Let's talk about the certification now, right? Let's figure out which certification is yours. Anthropic released 4 certifications. The first one is the Associate Foundations, right? For the non-technical people, for the people that use Claude daily, right? People that prompt it or they are co-work, just to give you the hands-on feeling. Business users, people that want to just understand how it works. You want to talk about prompting, evaluation, how to refine your prompting. And this is a no-code certificate, right? And now for those people that are actually hands-on in coding, they have the developer foundations. So it actually teach you how to use their APIs, how to use their tools, their MCP, basically how to use Claude Code, because Claude Code is front and center of this developer foundation. And then we have the main one, mind track, and the track that most of us are going for. And that's the architect foundation. You're going to be sitting in between the business and the coders, the developers, right? So that's where you're at to actually design this agentic systems, to actually understand the inner workings of what is happening on the code side and how it affects the business side, right? So this is where most FDEs and most people that are actually trying to step into this field are looking at. And after that, they have the architect professional, right? Then this whole portfolio of certifications, there's no prerequisites anywhere. You can start anyone, anytime, right? So you don't have to say, oh, I do have to start with the developer before I go to architect. You can actually start from anywhere, right? So the system and the domains have been put in such a way that you can start from anywhere. No lesson depends on the other lesson, right? But I can still encourage you to go for all four if you can. But we are heading for the architect foundation, right? And these are the price tags, each of them. So you just get a sense of what you're dealing with. So which one are you, right? This is how you determine which one you are. Do you use Claude every day? Or you're actually not touching code? You're actually not in some IDE messing with code, or you use Claude every day. Maybe you go through some manual data entry, or you do some other things that you could just use Claude desktop for. You have to start off with associate certification. If you're someone that you're hands-on, you have to move to developer. If you're someone that you review systems before they get deployed, right? If you're someone that you design the systems, you design the graphs, you design the flow before they actually put into production or into the business, the architect foundation is for you. And if you're someone that you already own like enterprise architectural decisions, if you're someone that sits at the top of most enterprise decisions, then the architect professional will actually be the same for you, right? So if you're someone that's also coming from a Java.NET data architectural background, you're allowed to go straight to the architect track. Once I said there's no prerequisite. So there's nothing forcing a developer to actually go to the architect foundation, and nothing is forcing you to the other way around. You get the point. So that's the thing. So you just determine, where did you stay? Do you want to be on the code side? Then you go for developer. If you want to be on the non-coding side, then you start with the associate. We are starting with the architect foundations in this community. This is what you're actually going to be sitting. You're going to start an exam that is going to last 120 minutes, right? And they have a passing score of 720 over 1,000. So that's the score you have to make. That's the cutoff score, right? Anything below that, you're not going to get certified. So the system, the learning always already understands this. So when it's grading you, when it's teaching you, it knows your limit. It knows your passing score that you need to hit across every level. And then the certificates are valid for 12 months, right? So it has validity of 12 months. Then you have to go again for renewal of the certificates. And like I said, you can actually take the exams through Pearson. That's they are the official exam partner with Claude, with Anthropic. So if you take it there, you can take it online or at the test center if you want. So they come with their own credit badge, and you can also take 4 attempts, right? So if you don't get the first one, you can actually take an attempt within the first 14 days. And if you also don't get that one, you have to wait for 30 days. And then after that, you get wait for 90 days within the 12 months, within the 12-month period. That is why we have this community to help you actually stay accountable, right? For you to actually also learn at your own pace, and for you to come on sessions where we discuss and talk about different domains, right? Just like we're going to do right now. Most people are cognition already, that they study alone, right? Most people study alone, and when you ask them, okay, how's it going with your studies? They stall. Right? There's no accountability. All they have is just lesson plans or some PDF or some prep documents. There's no system that they can practice against. And that's basically the problem, right? So week 2, you get busy, life happens, the momentum dies. And then some days before the exam, you have to now start brushing, start pressure yourself and try to learn in an easy way, right? So that is what we want to help. Those are the problems that we want to solve in this community. And also registration, that is the second problem. Registration is very difficult, right? Unless you register through some partner, they make you the and then you get access to register for the exam. So that's what we're doing right now. Registration is not easy, right? And passing is the part that nobody's going to help you with. You can register, but passing it, you need accountability, you need a system that you can practice with, and you need community that can work together with. You guys can build stuff, learn together. That's the whole point of what we're going to do. So this is what we're going to be working through. I'm going to start off my learning always from scratch, right? Just so that we can understand the look and feel. Right? We're actually going to go through all these stages, right? So you understand what I've built. It's going to be your AI study partner if you actually want to take it on. So it's a study operating system for the Claude certification exams, right? The moment you connect it, you can have it connected to Claude Code, to your Cursor, to your Claude desktop, to any harness you have. Hermes, OpenClaw, and name the rest. All you just have to do is point it to the study partner, to the learning OS, and you click start. The moment you click start, that's when the onboarding happens. It asks your name, right? Understands what day you want to write the exam and all of that stuff, why you want to take the exam. Basically just onboard you. And the next step it does is that it diagnoses your current level. It's going to slap some random questions in front of you to get a sense of what domain you're weakest in and what domain you're actually stronger in, right? And the point is, when it's done with the diagnostic, it creates a study plan that puts the weakest domain front center. And that way, it actually helps you to conquer them one at a time. The moment you conquer the weakest domain, it finds the second weakest domain. And the loop is it just loops until you get better at all the domains. So we have the learning and drilling section, which you're going to see. So the learning and drilling section is basically going to do this. It's going to pick a domain that you're weak at, create a slide, and inside the slide, you're going to have flashcards. You're going to have Q&As where you can actually an interactive learning experience. Once you're done with the learning experience, it's going to actually drill you with the bank of board-certified questions, right? So we have a bank where all the questions that has ever been asked you, all the exams are stored in. So when it's drilling you, it's actually going to grade you on real questions, right? Real past questions. The moment you've done that and let's say you've passed all the domains, you've passed the minimum across all domains, then it's going to sit you for the final mock exam. It's going to be timed. It's going to be a timed mock exam. And you're going to take it as if you're taking a real exam on the real day. Once you're done with the mock exam, it's going to grade you. Do you go above the pass mark? If you go above the pass score, then it's going to give you the go ahead, the green light to go for your certification. But if you're unable to get past the pass score, it's going to reassess you. It's going to diagnose you again, see what's happening, what's the weakest domain, and then it's going to continue that until you get past that score. So I hope you're getting the point, right? So that's how this works. It reads your goals, it reads your exam date, it diagnoses what you already know, and then it builds a study plan for you. That's how it works. So, and because it knows it had a snapshot of your weakest and strongest domain, right? The architecture is actually supposed to help you to understand the weakest one. So for instance, if agentic architecture, this, by the way, are all the domains. If agentic architecture is where your weakest are, it is going to push you, drill you, teach you until you get to like a green zone. And then it's going to go over to the next one and the next one, right? So that's basically how it works. So it's not just some static system. It's a personalized system that evolves with you, right? So it's going to serve you today's lesson based on where you're weak and not based on the syllabus. That's where a lot of people get it wrong. They want to go from syllabus to syllabus, follow some sort of, linear progression. But the AI study partner, the learning OS, actually targets the ones that you actually need, right? So that's one of the things that makes it really good. And now the drilling part, right, is going to drill you like a coach, right? You're not just with a PDF, but you're going to get real exam style questions that are graded at time. And then it also explains why this is wrong and why this is right. So every session is just targeting to build. So you're going to get something like this. You're going to get a question, options. When you pick the correct one, it's going to tell you why the one you picked is correct and why the others, right? So that way you're also learning the pitfalls. You're also learning the red herrings, because what me and Manoj came to realize was this exam, there are a lot of red herrings. A lot of options look right, they seem right, but when you pick them, they're actually not right because of one loose terminology or one thing there. I'm sure you're going to understand what I'm saying when I spin this up. I think it's better to just show you enough of the slides. I'm going to hop into my terminal right now, and I'm going to start a new profile just so you can see how it works. I have the OS running right now. As you can see, we've been going back at it, asking questions and stuff like that. I'm going to say, let's start off with fresh profile. Let's start onboarding. Yeah. So guys, I'm going to show you how this is just free text, the same way you chat with a friend, someone you know, right? So, okay, I guess I'll have to do a full reset. I don't mind. So yeah, full reset. You could use Claude Code. You could use any version. If you're using Claude Desktop, which I'm sure maybe for those people that aren't like terminal users, it's just going to be a very user-friendly feel, right? But I'm more of a terminal guy. I like to be in the terminal. I like to see every little detail of what's happening. So if you're going to start off with learning OS for the first time, you're going to have a clean slate like this. That's going to ask you for your name, when you're getting certified, and the target exam dates. So it's going to use that to build a profile for you, where every other thing around you is going to be. So I'm going to say Yeah, this name is Andy Asia because it funds me in my career as an AI builder or engineer. You can say anything. You can say anything. And now target exam date. I want to take it. I want to take swimming sport. Okay, so welcome aboard, Andy. My profile has been set. As you can see, I have my name, my Y, and then the exam date. So next step is the baseline diagnostic, a mock exam to see where I'm at across all 5 domains before we build a study plan. Do you want me to run that now or just jump straight to drilling a domain first? Let's say I don't know anything about the domains. Let's hit. So it's just going to assume 0 on everything. But because I actually do know most of these domains, I would have actually gotten all the questions right for those domains, and then it will know where to target. But let's assume I don't know anything, right? It's going to go blank, and we're going to start from first domain, right? So as you can see, it's going through all the scenarios, it's going through everything, all the sessions, it's going through the bank, it's going through all the questions. As you can see, it's going through all the domains, going through, see here. So it has to get a baseline score. So I would just tell it, okay, you know what? You can do 10. You can just start. So it has built the exam, it has built everything. So like I said, this is exactly how he would start. So this is the baseline diagnostic exam. And then we'll do that. So let me just say trade these questions to 10 questions for now. So we're just going to take 10 questions. After the 5th one, I'm going to try to answer the first 5 questions properly. But from the 5th one, I'll just go randomly, right? So if I fail, I'm not going to think much about it, just to show you how it works. Okay.
I'll say my answer as well, if you don't mind.
Okay. Okay. A pipeline stage has Claude code, generate a feature implementation, and then at the same session, immediately review its own div. Reviews come back glowing, yet human reviewers keep finding real defects that the automated pass approved. What is the structural cause and fix of this? Okay. So yeah, the session is biased towards validating its own code. Yes, there's something called element bias. So that's question 1.
But one sec. So basically, as soon as Andy read the first line, I was like, yeah, okay, it's A.
Yeah. Some of them are just going to come naturally to you. Like you just know. So that's why I advise you to go through the 60 questions, because some of them they're going to be like about 2 options here that they can. So second question, working on familiar legacy code base, your agent must find every call site of call tags, including calls buried inside wrapper models that re-export under the same name, which built-in tool does the job. Okay. Do you want to take that?
Sure. It's not A because that's just going to be too specific. Then reloading the module that defines.
I'll go with B. I'll go with grep.
Yeah. D.
Yeah. Excuse me.
Yeah. Looks good. Oh, okay. So it doesn't tell you if you're right or wrong.
No, it doesn't tell you. Yeah. When it's drilling you, that's when it tells you. So this is just the first part. So your CI review job gives Claude several tools: post finding, fetch deep context, and summarize PR. And the pipeline requires that a post finding call happens first. So downstream getting always has structural findings, after which the model may use the other tools really. How do you guarantee the first call? So set tool choice to any on the first request. So a tool called guarantee. This post finding first in the tool array, add a firm system prompt instruction get at the end of the prompt that the model must always begin by calling post findings. And then
I would say D.
set tool choice on the first request, then loosen to auto. Okay, so I'll go with D. The support agent exposes get customer and lookup order. Each time one line description, one retrieves customized order information. In production, about 1/3 of order status questions trigger the get customer first, wasting a turn before the agent recovers. What is the best step to fix this routing? So are you going to add few short examples of correct tool calls to the system prompt? So are you going to rewrite both descriptions to add input format, example queries, and the boundary statements, naming the sibling tool? I'll go with B. This is my own diagnostic test. You do yours. Okay, you've built a research coordinator whose system prompt clearly instructs it to delegate search, analysis, and synthesis to its sub-agents. In every test run, it attempts the entire job itself and never spawns a single sub-agent. What should you check first? Okay, you have to check the task. You have to check whether task is present.
Yeah.
I know this because it drilled me this like 2 days ago. Okay, so from here, I'm just going to shoot sporadically, right? So in case I missed the question, coordinators designing the final report form for such system was finding vary this. Many sources, but also how should the report communicate this? Use single format with consistent content zone, exclusive pending and numeric confidence. It's section that naturally separates this. I'll go with B. It's scheduled 4 times a year, yet every session all year pays its token cost. The versus I'm just going to go with randomly. I don't want to get everything. Okay, so the last question. So we're done with the diagnostics, right? Because of just trying to keep time short, so you can actually see all the features of the learning OS. Normally, I will take my time to do it. So I got 8/10 correct, and it scaled it to 820, right? So if I actually did the 60 mock, I'll probably be 820 at this point. It showed the time, elapsed in 10 minutes, right? So it's well under pace. And now it shows the domains, right? Because they only asked 3 questions and I got them correct. I have 100% here, I have 100% here, I have 50% here, and I have 0% in context and reliability. So we all know the domain is going to start with me, start fresh with me. On my lesson plan, because I have a plan where I do 2 lessons a day, right? I let the learning OS create 2 lessons a day. I'm going to create one so you can see what one lesson looks like. But I normally just do 2 lessons a day. And as you can see, I actually scored 100 on these 2 domains because those are the ones I've perfectly been drilled on. You can wake me anytime and I'm going to get at least a 90, right? And that's all because of learning OS. If you see when I started, everything was like 50, 60, 50, 60. But now I'm confident in these 2 domains. So let's keep going. You picked B wrong. Correct one is A. And this is the reason. You picked this one wrong. So it told me, okay, we want to start with D5. So yeah, let's start with. So it's asking me, do you want me to run the full 60 questions now, or you want to start drilling with D5, the topic I did not get, and then D3, right? This one, the ones I failed. Now, okay, let's start with D5. You can chat with it anyhow you want, right? You mustn't use my prompt or anything I'm saying. Just be yourself. So that's the whole point. That's how it gets more personalized to you. So it's building an interactive lesson for domain 5, lesson 6. So because I feel inside domain 5, there are a lot of lessons, but it's lesson 6 that I failed, right? So it's going to ensure that I pass it before I move to any other domain or any other question. So if I actually did the 60 questions, obviously I will know some answers in some domains and I might not know all of them. So it's just going to make the specific note, as you can see, it's creating the notes already. It's creating the notes, the FAQs, the questions and answers. If you're using another tool, you really might not need to see all of this, but I just like seeing it. Okay, it's done. And then we have the session. So domain 5, lesson 6, provenance and uncertainty in multi-source synthesis, right? So this is the concept. I'm going to read through the concept. Then it has flashcards where I can just easily flip them and see the answer. Flip to the back and see the answers. After which there's a self-check quiz, right? And this is an ungraded practice, right? This doesn't go into my grading where my diagnostics is, right? Or to my report card. This is somewhere I can easily fail. And then, okay, I got it. But I can easily fail and know why I failed. If you check why I didn't get it. Pass why it's the right answer. And then you do that for 5 questions, right? So this is for 4 questions, right? And once you're done and you're confident enough, you can now head back to your terminal to actually take the graded questions, right? Which is what we're going to do right now. So because I'm exploring this domain for the first time, I want to encourage us to also read it together, right? So at least you can take something from it. All right. I think I understand it now. It's more about being able to, when you're doing research, right? Every summarization hub is a place where some attributions and data, like sometimes when you have different claims and different sources, when the agent summarizes that, sometimes you can actually lose out on the dates and lose out on some sensitive metadata that accompanied with the research, right? And that happens because it's going through multiple hubs, sending it to the reviewer, the writer, back and forth across all these sub agents. So the best way to do it is by actually, I think he said it here. So it's just being able to arrange them, right? Being able to allow the agents to pair them with a source, right? With a supporting excerpt and the publication date. So we have these 3. and you ensure that it's passed across every downstream agent, they all have to preserve and merge them instead of just summarizing it in a claim or in a sentence. Right? So these are the flashcards. What survives provenance across multiple summarization hubs? Then structured claim to source mapping. So whatever claim you have actually mapping with the source, right, with the excerpt and with the dates. So this is going to survive every downstream agent, right? Every downstream agent is required to preserve and merge them. It's not supposed to freeform the citation. So that's just something that we got from reading this. So this second part is supposed to strengthen whatever you read here, right? Should credible sources give conflicting numbers? What's the grading response? So you have to include both values with the attributions, explicitly annotate the conflicts, and defer downstream rather than picking one out of the two, rather than averaging them or maybe seeing the common ground or dropping one. So the same thing was mentioned here. Then, why are publication dates? Why are publication dates a required structured output? Why is it required, right? It's required because without dates, a real trend versus older versus newer looks like a contradiction. That also makes sense. So when you put the dates, it actually shows that, okay, it was like this year, and maybe 4 years later, it's actually a trend rather than a contradiction. And the synthesis agent may flag it as a false conflict or silently does discard the correct value. So you need to put the dates. How should the final report communicate mixed evidence and mixed evidential support across findings? So how do you do it? So explicit structural separation between the well-established findings and the contested / thinly supported ones, not one uniform confident narrative voice. So you actually have to, there has to be a separation between two of them. So you see, I stepped into a domain that I'm not really conversant with because I don't really build research pipelines that need to be summarized across different cycles and loops. But now I'm getting to understand, I would have got to know this in a bad way, right? Having conflicting things or going with what the AI research, not knowing that that's the previous year, right? So you have to ensure that when you're building these pipelines, you include the dates. And there should be a way to communicate mixed support across findings. Why shouldn't financial table, narrative text, and technical conflicts all be flattened into the same uniform rows? And it's because the format is part of the fidelity, right? So each content type should render natively. So you have tables for data and all of that stuff, a list for technical data, or it loses the structure that makes it usable, right? So we've gone through the concepts, gone through the flashcards, and now I will take the test. So a legal research pipeline has a case summarizer sub-agent, right? Site-specific rulings in line. But after the synthesis agent merges them, everything into a single memo, the final paragraph asserts a legal standard with no ruling attached to it. So in this case, it's using ruling as the case to the source, right? So how do you prevent this? You require each sub-agent to emit a claim source mapping, right? So the claim is going to be the case citation and the excerpt and the decision dates, right? So you can actually have the ruling attached to it. And it also requires that the synthesis agent preserve and merge those mappings rather than free text summary. So two things. One, the synthesis agent will not have to preserve and will not have to turn it into a summary. It has to actually preserve those mappings that this one is going to make. That's basically it. So that's why it's correct. So it explains why, as you can see, provenance only survives a handoff if the format structurally processes it through. So a required claim source mapping is preserved at every hop and it keeps its assertion attached to its origin. A generic disclaimer doesn't bind any specific claim to any of this. So guessing sources after the fact invents attribution rather than preserving it. Keeping raw briefs in context doesn't stop the synthesis step itself from dropping it. So you also have to follow up with that. So next question. Ravi, I want you to answer this.
So two independent analysts report give different revenue growth figures for the same company in quota, and agent synthesizing the client member must decide how to handle this. I would say B.
Okay, yes, B. Correct. So this one talked about averaging, this one talked about leaving one, this one talked about picking one. So this is the answer. So the tested pattern for credible source disagreement is to preserve both values with attribution, annotate the conflicts, and defer reconciliation rather than resolving it silently. Picking the more authoritative, which I think was from here, from A, hides a real disagreement behind a heuristic. Averaging invents a number that neither source reported, which is C, and dropping the figure discuss evidence the human could actually use to make a decision, right? So this is how we use the learning OS. This is ungraded. So this one is not being graded, but the one I'm going to take in the terminal is going to be graded. Now I'm going to finish and go to my terminal, right? So you see, lesson 5 was created, explained the concept, showed me the flashcard. I had 4 fresh practice questions. And now that I'm done, I just need to say the word and it's going to start the graded version, which are just 5 questions out of the back of all the questions. So I'll just say, let's do it. Question 1. So I'm just going to answer questions to just be certain that I've actually understood this topic. Now I can fill 1 or 2 and then it explains to me why. And then it can also maybe repurpose the lesson so that I don't fail that particular type of question. But let's see. In a research pipeline, search sub-agents cite sources in their prose, but after 2 summarization hubs, the final report contains claim that no one can trace back to the document. What is the structural fix? Require the sub-agent to emit structured mappings and so that's A. This is from the actual question bank. So A, so it's correct. Why A is correct, it explains it. Why B, C, and D not correct, it explains it. Question 2, an analyst sub-agent finds 2 credible industry reports that are materially different market share figures for the same company in the same year. Its output fits the synthesis agent. What should the sub-agent do? Okay, report the figure from the report with the stronger repetition. No. Include both figures with their attributes, annotate the conflict, and leave the reconciliation downstream. Yes. B, also correct, right? So this is the learning OS in action. This is how I was able to go past domain 1, go from 55. It was 55 in domain 1 to 100%. Same with domain 2. Right? I haven't touched domain 3, 4, 5, and you can see this evidence because I scored 0% on domain 5. But now, just because I took the lesson of lesson 6, mind you, there are like maybe 7, 8 lessons in domain 5, but I can tell you for a fact that if I see lesson 6, I'm going to answer it. I scored 100%. So as you can see, I just want to show you, it's adding the scores, it's adding the dates, and all the questions I got correctly, as you can see. This is just to show you what's happening behind the scenes. So 100%, I redeemed the earlier mock exam miss because it also slipped those questions that I missed into the questions it asked. So as you can see, I've been able to get 100% accuracy, and this is a 1-day streak for me. So D5 still has 5 untouched topics. I have D1 all the way to lesson 1 all the way to lesson 5. It's asking, do you want me to keep going? Right? And so you get better at this. So I'm just going to say yes, but I'm going to leave that lesson to the others. Let's start with lesson 1. So that's the view. I've given you guys an inside look at what the learning OS actually is, right? And I'm just going to keep us in the same loop. You have a role in the job with a lot of tasks that you want to create an AI version of you or a second brain of you to handle it. So the certification is what proves it, but the systems you're going to build while being in the AI Avengers lab is what is going to keep paying you after. Right? I don't know if you can see it, but the note just popped up on my screen. This just popped up. So this is lesson 1. I'm going to go back to that after this session. So yeah. So the cross certification exams are actually gated. You actually can register as an individual. You're going to hit a wall. Right? So most people find that out after they've tried. I'm sure if you're on this call, you probably tried as well. So we're on the other side, right? And we are people that can actually make that possible for you. So you need to sign in with your partner as an organization. You're going to be hit with a wall just like this, right? So the login is what you don't have, and you cannot log in. You can't write the exam. You can't register for the exam. So there are 4 steps that you do. So you join the cohort. Once you join the cohort, we add you as a member under our network organization. We add you under our network, and then you're going to get a log. We're going to give you a login, and that is on their website. Once you log in, you pick the track that you want to go with. We recommend you going for the architect because the learning OS has been built on the architect foundation. And then once you do that, you then pay directly to Anthropic to get your seats for the exam. Once you register for the exam, you can pick how the dates you want to write it. If you want to write it on the test center or you want to write it online. So we never touch your exam fees. It goes straight to Anthropic. All we provide to you is the login that lets you to register in the first place, right? Plus every other thing that you get once you're part of the community is just an addition, right? So 2 things that some people miss when they register, they just register, but they don't schedule for the exam. So you register on the portal and you think that's it. No, they're actually 2 different systems. Registration on Anthropic is also different from the Pearson's credentials. So you actually have to book the dates. And you also have to use your government name, right? You can't use like a nickname or something. So 2 things that we just feel like put out there so that you don't fall into those traps. So yeah, you're not doing it alone, right? That's the whole point, right? We have our community. I already walked you guys through the first section where we have other people just like yourself building, recording their businesses for themselves or in their companies, right? And you're going to be learning with people from across 100 plus countries, right? So everyone has come through cohorts, has come through learning sessions just like this. And we all have our Monday accountability, right? You get to be in private communities and in private WhatsApp groups or questions and answers. And a lot of things we build together, we do things together. And that's basically it. Use a close subscription. $20 per month pro plan is all you need to get started. And then you actually have to put in the work. It's not just about registering. You actually have to show up on Fridays. You actually have to show up on our Monday check-ins. You have to take them seriously. This is not for you if you're looking for a passive video. Maybe you can go on YouTube and let some guy just hype up AI. This is not for people that are just chasing the 10K per month with AI hype. And this is not for people that won't show up. These are for people that actually know how serious and in demand AI is and are willing to take it to the next step. You have access to all of this for the duration of your certification, right? So this doesn't include the exam fee, by the way, because some people think that when they come into the community, it automatically, no, you're still going to have to pay whenever you want to write the exam. But this gives you access to be able to build your own system, gives you access to learning OS to actually be exam ready, but whenever you want to get that. Come and build with us, come and see everything inside of our community where we have a premium package. You're going to have a system, right? Not just a certificate, right? You're going to have a system that's running in your business or running your life 247. And you're just one way away from getting that done.